The internet is on fire, and no, it's not because of a new track drop. It's because Harlem's very own Camron has just lit the fuse on a ticking time bomb that's been quietly ticking behind the scenes for years. In a stunning twist nobody saw coming, Camron has allegedly exposed a string of secret messages sent by none other than Chrissy Lampkin. And trust us, they're nothing short of explosive. Fans are shocked. The streets are talking. And now, Jim Jones is being forced into a corner he never thought he'd have to fight his way out of. This isn't just celebrity beef. This is personal, deeply personal. What was supposed to be a simple reunion turned into an all-out war of words, hidden receipts, and emotional chaos. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Jim Jones breaks his silence in the most unexpected and emotional way imaginable. Could this be the final nail in the coffin for the long-standing Dipset bond? Or is there still something deeper lurking beneath the surface? Stay locked in, because what you're about to hear will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about Camron, Chrissy, and Jim Jones. The truth? It's messier than anyone ever imagined. It all started on a quiet Sunday night, when Camron took to his live stream in what seemed like a casual Q&A with fans. But within minutes, it was clear that this wasn't just a regular session. His tone was sharper, his eyes, usually cool and unfazed, carried a storm brewing. Underneath, fans in the comments were already buzzing. Was this about Chrissy? The rumors had been floating for weeks, but no one expected him to confirm anything, let alone go full throttle. Camron leaned into the camera and said, "Yo, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but since people want to play games behind the scenes, let's talk about it." Then, without warning, he pulled out his phone and scrolled. "Receipts," he muttered, tapping the screen. The chat exploded. This was the moment. And just like that, he began reading aloud a string of messages that he claimed were sent by Chrissy herself. Allegedly private, supposedly deleted. But Camron? He had screenshots. The messages were vague at first. Late-night check-ins, inside jokes. One said, "I miss how things used to be. You always understood me." Another hinted at regret. If things were different, maybe we wouldn't be where we are now. Camron didn't name names immediately, but the tone, the context, and the way he kept saying she made it crystal clear. Fans connected the dots. It was Chrissy. As the live went on, Camron's energy shifted from bitter to betrayed. "I held it down for years," he said, shaking his head. "I never aired nothing out. I respected Jim. I respected the history. But this? Nah, this right here crossed a line." The internet exploded. Screenshots were grabbed and reposted within minutes. Blogs, fan pages, even celebrity gossip pages were flooding timelines with Camron's words. Within hours, Chrissy's name was trending. Some defended her, others demanded answers. But the most unexpected reaction came from within Dipset's own circle. Freaky Zeke posted a cryptic Instagram story. "Some truths don't need to be aired, unless you're ready for the fallout." Fans took that as confirmation. Something real was going down. Meanwhile, Chrissy stayed silent. No tweets, no Instagram posts, no comments, just radio silence. But the silence spoke volumes. And that's when rumors began flying. Was Jim Jones aware of these alleged messages? Was this old drama resurfacing, or something fresh behind closed doors? Sources close to the couple claimed Jim had been off for days before Camron's live. Supposedly, Chrissy had been getting late-night calls she wouldn't explain. One insider even said Jim had walked out of a dinner earlier that week after getting some kind of text that set him off. Now, it all seemed to be adding up. Camron, though, wasn't done. He posted a follow-up story the next day where he said, "This ain't about clout. This about respect. And when people try to play me like I'm soft or quiet, that's when the truth comes out." The tone was icy. He wasn't just talking to Chrissy anymore. He was speaking directly to Jim. Fans were stunned. After all, Cam and Jim had a brotherhood that spanned decades. From Dipset's rise in the early 2000s to their legendary reunion shows, they were supposed to be unbreakable. But underneath the glitz, there were always whispers of tension. And now, those cracks were showing, loud and messy. One voice note Camron played was particularly damning. In it, a woman, whose voice strongly resembled Chrissy's, could be heard saying, "You don't understand what it's like to be with someone who's half in, half out. You were always all in, and I miss that. Don't ever think I forgot." What we had? Cam paused after playing it. The comments were going wild. people begging him to stop, others begging him to spill everything. He simply said, "This is just the beginning." Backstage industry chatter said Jim was blindsided. A former producer who worked with Dipset years ago claimed that Jim had always been insecure about Chrissy's past with Cam, and that the two men had a silent agreement to never bring it up. "They squashed it years ago," he said, "but that don't mean the feelings went away." The most dramatic twist came just 2 days after the live. Someone leaked footage of Chrissy and Camron allegedly meeting up at a quiet lounge in Brooklyn, just 3 weeks before his outburst. In the video, they're seated in a corner booth, talking closely. At one point, Chrissy reaches out and touches Cam's arm. Nothing overly intimate, but enough to spark serious speculation. Was it a friendly check-in, or something deeper? As the video made rounds, the internet lost it. Fans were creating timelines, matching the messages Camron shared with the date of the meetup, even breaking down body language. "This ain't no casual catch-up," one fan tweeted. "Look at how she leans in. Look at his face. This got history all over it." Still, Jim remained silent, but people close to him started talking. One friend told a gossip outlet that Jim had been drinking heavier than usual and canceled a studio session without explanation. Another said he felt humiliated and blindsided. Fans began to speculate whether the relationship that had survived reality TV, infidelity rumors, and the pressures of fame was finally breaking under the weight of a long-buried secret. Then, Chrissy finally posted. No words. Just a black square with a caption, "Energy never lies." Cryptic, yes, but enough to send fans into a frenzy. Was she denying the messages, acknowledging the truth, throwing shade at Cam or Jim? Cam responded within hours. He posted a screenshot of their supposed DMs with the caption, "Exactly, energy been off for a while now." He wasn't backing down. If anything, he was turning up the heat. And just when it seemed like the internet couldn't take any more drama, another piece of the puzzle fell into place. An alleged former assistant of Chrissy's messaged a gossip blogger claiming that Chrissy used to vent about feeling trapped in her relationship with Jim. According to the anonymous source, Chrissy once said, "Jim doesn't see me anymore. He sees what I used to be. Cam always saw who I really was." That line alone had fans spiraling. As the pressure mounted, so did the emotion. Clips from old episodes of Love and Hip Hop resurfaced, showing past fights between Jim and Chrissy, moments where her loyalty was questioned, where her emotional exhaustion was visible. In hindsight, it all felt like foreshadowing. The drama was far from over. Cam hinted at even more receipts to come. He posted a photo of a locked folder on his phone titled "Truth Bombs PT2" with a clock emoji. Fans begged for more. Some were calling him messy. Others praised him for being real. But one thing was clear, everyone was watching. And the next move? It belonged to Jim Jones. Just as the internet caught its breath, Jim finally broke his silence. Not through a tweet, not through a statement, but by going live. His face serious, voice calm but heavy. "You want to play games? Cool," he said. "But don't forget who really knows the truth." The live had barely started, and fans were already screen recording. It wasn't just about defending Chrissy anymore, it was about defending his name, his pride, and everything he'd built. And then, just as he opened his mouth to speak further, Jim paused for a long moment before speaking again. The comments on his live were flooding in, hundreds per second. "Jim, speak your truth. Don't let him play you like that. We got your back." But Jim wasn't reading. He looked straight into the camera, his voice low and steady. "I kept quiet for a long time out of respect," he began. "But now that people want to air out dirty laundry like it's a mixtape drop, I guess it's my turn." Fans could feel the tension. His eyes were heavy and his jaw was clenched. This wasn't the loud, flashy Jim Jones from the Dipset days. This was a man who'd been pushed past his limit. "First off," he said, "don't ever get it twisted. Cam and I, we got history. Real history. Not just music, not just the business. We were like brothers. But brothers fight. And sometimes, brothers betray you." That word, betray, hung in the air like a fog. Fans were shocked. Jim was confirming that something did happen. Something that broke their bond. But instead of dragging Camron directly, Jim turned his attention to Chrissy. "Now, about the woman I've been with for almost 2 decades, he said, voice trembling slightly. "You don't stay with someone that long unless you've been through hell and back. And we've had our hell. We've had our mistakes. But Chrissy? I believed in her. I still do. I think. It was the most vulnerable fans had ever seen Jim. And then he dropped a bombshell that no one expected. Yeah, she met with Cam. Yeah, they talked. She told me about it. But she didn't tell me everything. And that's where the problem starts. The chat exploded. So Chrissy had confessed, but only part of the story. Fans were piecing together the timeline now. The secret messages. The mysterious meetup. Camron's receipts. It was all beginning to click. Jim took a breath. I asked her straight up, "Did y'all talk about us? Did anything cross the line?" She said no. She looked me dead in my face and said there was nothing to worry about. He looked away from the camera then, the pain written all over his face. But now, with all this coming out, I don't know what to believe anymore. That line hit fans like a punch to the gut. Even the comments grew quiet, as if they could feel the weight of what he was saying. Betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the silence, the omissions, the things unsaid. Jim ended the live abruptly, saying only, "I need time to think." It was a simple statement, but powerful, and it left fans spinning. Was this the beginning of the end for Jim and Chrissy? And what about Camron? Was this all part of a plan, or a raw moment of emotion finally boiling over? The next morning, new leaks surfaced. This time, it wasn't messages. It was audio. Someone anonymously sent a voice recording to a gossip blog, claiming it was from Chrissy's phone. In the clip, a woman believed to be Chrissy is heard telling, "A friend, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted closure. Cam knew how to talk to me in a way Jim doesn't anymore." Those words set the internet ablaze. Closure? Fans were outraged. "That's not closure, that's emotional cheating," one comment read. "She played with both of them," another wrote. The situation had gone from messy to catastrophic. Camron, meanwhile, was doubling down. He posted a throwback photo of him and Chrissy from the early 2000s, smiling and close with the caption, "Some memories don't fade, some just resurface." Fans couldn't believe it. Was he being nostalgic or just plain petty? But the biggest twist came when a familiar face joined the chaos. Nancy Jones, aka Mama Jones, the always outspoken mother of Jim Jones, jumped into the fray with an Instagram live of her own. "Let me tell y'all something," she began, shaking her head. "I told my son from day one, watch your back with people who used to be close. History don't always stay in the past." Mama Jones didn't hold back. She hinted that she never fully trusted Chrissy, and it always felt like there were unresolved feelings between her and Cam. "You don't go meet up with your man's old friend who you used to flirt with back in the day and not expect it to blow up," she said, raising an eyebrow. Fans were stunned. Chrissy and Cam flirting back in the day? This was the first time that claim had been made public. Immediately, old interviews were resurfaced, clips from Dipset behind-the-scenes footage showing Chrissy laughing a little too hard at Cam's. Jokes, moments that seemed innocent back then, but now felt loaded. Chrissy, for her part, finally broke her silence with a full statement on her Instagram story. It was a wall of text, calm and composed. "I never meant to hurt anyone." She wrote, "The meeting with Cam was supposed to be about clearing the air. We've all changed, grown, and moved on. Or so I thought." But that wasn't all she said. The last line of her message read, "Sometimes the past comes back to test your present. I failed that test, and now I have to deal with the consequences." Those words were a confession. Maybe not of a physical affair, but definitely an emotional entanglement, and fans knew it. The comments were divided. Some applauded her honesty, others dragged her for being careless. But everyone agreed. This wasn't over. Camron responded within hours, as expected. This time, though, it wasn't with anger. It was with something no one expected: vulnerability. He posted a video of himself in the studio, quiet, reflective, playing a rough snippet of a new track. The lyrics were raw. "We was young and dumb, now we older with pain I ain't want. The crown, just respect on my name." The caption simply read, "Some wounds don't heal, they just stay hidden." And just like that, the narrative shifted again. Fans started asking, was Cam really hurt? Was this revenge? Or had he actually loved Chrissy once? The lines were blurring, and so were people's loyalties. Then came the biggest shock of all. A second voice recording leaked, this one reportedly from Jim himself speaking to someone on the phone. In it, he's heard saying, "I gave her everything, and he still got a part of her I never could reach." The heartbreak in his voice was undeniable. Fans were floored. All the bravado, the persona, the toughness, it all crumbled in that one sentence. Jim Jones, the Copo, the hustler, the ride or die, was hurting, and the fallout was just beginning. The second leaked recording of Jim Jones saying, "I gave her everything, and he still got a part of her I never could reach," sent shockwaves through social media. It wasn't just another twist. It was a raw, honest confession that shattered the internet's image of the unshakable capo. Fans weren't just shocked, they were heartbroken for him. The tough guy persona had cracked, and beneath it was a man drowning in betrayal and confusion. By now, it was clear that this wasn't just a messy triangle. This was a tragedy unfolding in real time. 3 lives unraveling under the weight of unspoken truths, old flames, and emotional wounds that had never healed. The comment sections on all their pages became battlegrounds. People were choosing sides. Team Jim, Team Cam, Team Chrissy. And then there were those who said they all played a part in this mess. As public opinion swayed and speculations deepened, a new layer to the story emerged, one that no one saw coming. A former friend of Camron, who claimed to have been part of the Dipset circle in the early 2000s, went on a podcast and dropped a bombshell. Cam and Chrissy, that wasn't just flirtation. Back in the day, they had a moment, a real moment. According to him, it happened before Chrissy and Jim were officially serious. They were vibing, he said. Nothing crazy, but enough to leave feelings behind. When Jim stepped in, Cam backed off, out of loyalty. But that vibe never really died. The internet went wild. If that was true, it changed everything. Cam Isosint wasn't just airing dirty laundry, he was possibly reopening an old wound that had never truly closed. Fans started questioning whether the messages and the recent meetup were really about closure or unfinished business. Chrissy remained, quiet again after her statement. But insiders close to her said she had shut down emotionally and wasn't answering calls. Apparently, even her closest friends didn't know what was going on. One source said, Chrissy feels like she's losing both of them at the same time, and it's tearing her apart. Jim, meanwhile, was spotted out for the first time since the drama exploded. Alone, no Chrissy. Paparazzi caught him leaving a club in New York looking visibly drained. When asked by a reporter if he had anything to say about Camron's accusations, he only said, "Y'all think this entertainment, this real life." Camron was quieter too. After his studio post, he hadn't said much. But his close friend and longtime collaborator, Hell Rel, stirred the pot when he tweeted, "Sometimes, the people you loyal to be the ones moving funny behind your back." That tweet reignited the fire. Was Cam the one who had been betrayed all along? Fans started revisiting his original live stream, analyzing every word, every pause. Was he really just exposing Chrissy, or was he mourning something deeper? And then came the message that changed the course of everything. Camron posted a screenshot of a Note app entry. It read, "There's more to say, but for now, I'ma let y'all catch up. But one thing's for sure, loyalty don't come with conditions, and love ain't supposed to leave you guessing." The caption under the post simply said, "Should I drop the voice note?" That was all it took. His comments section blew up. Fans begged him to drop it. Some warned him not to go too far, but the majority wanted the tea. They were invested now, not just in the story, but in the heartbreak, the history, and the human mess behind it all. And then, without warning, he did it. Camron posted a minute-long voice note that he claimed came from Chrissy just days before their secret meetup. Her voice, unmistakably hers, was quiet but intense. "I know this is wrong," she said, "but sometimes I just need to talk to someone who knew me before all of this, before the cameras, before the expectations. Jim doesn't see the real, me anymore. But you always did." The internet froze. This wasn't just emotional, it was intimate. It wasn't some playful message from the past. It was recent, deliberate, and filled with unresolved tension. And now, it was out there for the world to hear. Within an hour, Judge Chrissy was trending again. Fans felt everything from sympathy to anger. Some said Chrissy was caught between two men who never really understood her. Others said she played both sides for too long and it finally backfired, but almost everyone agreed. This story wasn't about cheating. It was about connection. and how dangerous it becomes when you seek it in the wrong places. Jim's response came the next morning. This time, it wasn't alive. It was a carefully written post on his story, addressed not to Cam, not to fans, but to Chrissy. I never wanted this to be public. You know that. I protected us for years, through everything. But now it's all out there, and I can't lie to myself anymore. You said I don't see you, but the truth is, I've been looking at the version of you I wanted to see. Not the one you really are, and maybe that's on me. It was heartbreak in text form. Fans reposted it everywhere. People wrote essays in the comments. This was no longer about who was right or wrong. It was about 3 people who had become symbols of loyalty, love, and legacy, and were now crumbling under the pressure of unresolved pain. Chrissy didn't reply, at least not directly, but she posted a video clip from an old interview where she said, "Sometimes we stay in things out of loyalty, not love. And the difference can destroy you if you don't figure it out in time." It was an old clip, but fans took it as a message. Maybe she had already been hinting at her inner turmoil. Maybe the cracks had been there for years. And no one, not Jim, not Cam, not the public, had truly seen it. As the days passed, the drama didn't die. It evolved. Fans began sharing their own stories. The comments became full of people talking about lost love, emotional affairs, old friends who turned into something more. People related. They were angry, entertained, but also deeply moved. And then, just as people started to believe the dust was settling, another twist threatened to blow it all back open. A new rumor began circulating, one that came from a source so close to the situation that it couldn't be ignored. Someone close to Chrissy allegedly told a media outlet that Camron wasn't up for telling the full story. "He acting like he was blindsided," the source said. "But he's the one who reached out first. He was the one who said he missed what they had. He opened that door. And Chrissy, she just walked through it." It was the twist no one saw coming. Had Camron orchestrated all of this? Had he manipulated the narrative to make himself look like the victim while secretly playing on old feelings to get revenge or closure? Suddenly, the narrative shifted again. Fans started asking hard questions. Was Cam being genuine or calculated? Had he weaponized Chrissy's vulnerability just to take a shot at Jim? The lines were blurred. The drama was deeper than ever. And the fallout? It had only just begun. As the rumor spread that Camron had been the one to initiate the reconnection with Chrissy, public opinion started to fracture. People who had once championed Cam as the truth teller began questioning his motives. Was he exposing betrayal or orchestrating chaos? Had he truly been hurt, or had he been playing a long game waiting for the perfect moment to settle old scores? A popular podcast host weighed in, saying, "It's starting to look like Cam ain't just a victim here. Maybe he's been holding onto this for years, and now that he's got the platform and the receipts, he's letting it all loose." But you gotta ask, why now? Why go nuclear? Fans echoed the sentiment. If Cam really cared about closure, one post read, he would have kept it private. This feels like revenge, personal, targeted. Others weren't so sure. Some argued that Cam had every right to share his truth. He stayed silent for decades. Maybe he finally snapped. Y'all don't know what he's been carrying. Meanwhile, Chrissy's silence returned. No new posts, no likes, no comments. Nothing. But paparazzi caught a glimpse of her outside a hotel in Soho, looking tired, wearing oversized sunglasses, walking quickly, phone pressed to her ear. It wasn't much, but it was enough to fuel new speculation. Was she meeting someone, hiding from the media, or just trying to find peace in the middle of the storm? A few days later, Camron went live again, this time from what looked like a recording studio. The energy was different. Not angry, calmer, but cold. "Calculated, y'all keep asking why now," he said. "You ever been quiet so long that when you finally speak, nobody's ready for it? That's where I'm at." He didn't deny reaching out to Chrissy first. In fact, he admitted it. "Yeah, I hit her up. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to talk. Not to start drama, but because some stuff never left my chest." And she responded. Now everybody acting shocked. The comments exploded. Cam was admitting it, but not apologizing. And then he dropped another twist. "This wasn't about Jim," he said. "This was about me and her. Something that should have been talked about a long time ago. I ain't say she did anything wrong. I'm just saying, it ain't right either. The ambiguity drove fans crazy. Was he blaming Chrissy? Was he absolving her? Was he shifting the blame back to Jim? Meanwhile, Jim posted a series of throwback photos, him and Chrissy from their early years. One of the captions read, "This was before the noise, before the pressure, just us." Fans saw it as a sign that he was still hurting, still in reflection mode. And then he posted a line from one of his unreleased tracks. "I gave you love. You gave me silence. Now we both, bleeding." Fans were left wondering, was Jim still fighting for the relationship, or finally letting it go? Behind the scenes, insiders began whispering that the couple was taking space. One claimed Chrissy had temporarily moved out of their home and was staying with a close friend. Another said Jim had stopped showing up at shared appearances and was focused on music and healing. The emotional fallout didn't stop with just the three of them. Cam's own family started weighing in. His cousin, who rarely speaks publicly, commented on one of Cam's posts. "Sometimes silence is strength. Other times, it's the weight of guilt." Fans weren't sure if it was support or shade. Then, in a surprising twist, a woman came forward claiming to be an ex of Camron's from around the time he allegedly reconnected with Chrissy. In a lengthy video posted to her page, she said, "Cam was telling me he was over all that Chrissy was ancient history. The next thing I know, he's posting her, talking about old feelings. He played everybody." This revelation painted Cam in a new light. Was he manipulating more than just one woman? Had he reignited a fire with Chrissy while still entertaining someone else? For the first time, the public seemed to turn against Camron. He was losing support fast. Even longtime fans were asking him to chill, to let it go. One comment that got over 20,000 likes read, "You don't heal by hurting others. Cam Wilden now." But Cam wasn't done. Cam wasn't done. A new snippet dropped. This time, a leaked DM from Chrissy allegedly sent just days before Cam posted the voice note. In it, she wrote, "I'm not trying to hurt Jim. I just want to feel heard again. I need to know if you still see me." Pleitz was the line that broke everyone. This wasn't just emotional confusion, it was raw vulnerability. A woman trying to reconnect with a version of herself that had been buried under years of compromise and public pressure. Fans, even those who had judged her, began to feel her pain. "She's not a villain," one tweet read. "She's human. And sometimes, that's the messiest thing you can be." Still, the question lingered. Where did this leave Jim? Sources close to him claimed he was done. One insider said, "He feels like he's been disrespected on every level. First privately, now publicly. He's not sure if there's anything left to fix." Others said the opposite. A friend of Chrissy's told a blog that Jim was still in love and trying to figure it out, but he don't want to lose her to someone who already had her once. And in a final shocking move, Jim and Cam ran into each other, face to face. It happened at a private industry dinner in New York. Both were invited, both showed up not knowing the other would be there. According to multiple attendees, the tension was immediate. Jim walked in, saw Cam, and stopped cold, one source said. You could feel the energy shift. It was like time froze. They didn't speak at first. Cam nodded. Jim didn't respond. The whole room was holding its breath. Then, after about 20 minutes, Jim reportedly walked up to Cam and said, "We should have had this talk before the internet did." What happened after that? Nobody knows. One source claims they went outside and talked alone for almost an hour. Another said voices were raised, but no cameras caught it, no audio leaked, just rumors, speculation, and a city holding its breath. Fans are desperate for answers. Is this beef finally settling, or are we about to see the ugliest chapter yet? The final act was approaching, and it promised to be the most emotional yet. After their unexpected face-to-face encounter at the private dinner, fans and insiders waited anxiously for either Camron or Jim Jones to speak out. But for the first time in weeks, there was nothing. No posts, no lives, no subtweets, just silence. And the silence was deafening. Speculation ran wild. Did they fight? Did they squash the beef? Did they agree to take it off social media? Nobody knew for sure. All that existed were blurry paparazzi photos of the two men standing outside, alone, with tense body language. No yelling, no smiles, just two legends, one broken bond, and decades of history between them. The silence was finally broken free. Days later, but not by Cam or Jim, it was Chrissy. She posted a simple black and white photo of herself, eyes closed, head tilted back, with the caption, "Truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers in the wreckage." Within minutes, blogs picked it up. Fans swarmed her comments. "Is this closure? What happened at that dinner? Are you and Jim done?" But Chrissy didn't reply. She said what she needed to say and left the rest in the air. An hour later, Cam posted a photo of a page from his journal. The handwriting was unmistakably his. It read, "If love comes back around, do you embrace it or remember why it left in the first place?" Fans couldn't believe it. This was a side of Cam they rarely saw. Poetic, almost nostalgic, but no answers. No confirmations, just more questions. And then came the twist that flipped the narrative one more time. A behind-the-scenes clip from the dinner surfaced, grainy, muffled, but clear enough. In the clip, Cam and Jim are seen shaking hands. Not a dap, not a forced bro hug. A real lingering handshake, the kind that means something deeper. Fans erupted. Did they make peace? Are they back cool? Was it all a build-up to this moment? But it wasn't that simple. Just a day after the handshake clip went viral, Jim went live. And this time, he wasn't cryptic. "People keep asking if it's all good now," he began. "Nah, not yet. We spoke like men. We said what we needed to say. But forgiveness ain't a light switch, especially when loyalty's been questioned." His tone was firm. Not angry, not cold, just real, raw. "Cam and me, we got history. Too much to throw away? But history don't excuse everything. And Chrissy, that's still my heart, no matter how this plays out." Fans praised him for his maturity, for being honest, for not pretending the scars didn't exist. But everyone wanted to know, what about Chrissy? The answer came the next morning when she appeared on a podcast hosted by a longtime friend. It was her first full interview since the drama exploded, and she held nothing back. "Was I wrong for meeting with Cam? Probably," she admitted. "Was I looking for closure? Maybe. Or maybe I was looking for a piece of myself that I felt like I'd lost." The host asked her the question. Everyone was dying to know, did anything happen between her and Cam during that meetup? Chrissy looked down, then said, "We talked. We laughed. We remembered. But no, we didn't cross that line. Not physically, emotionally. I think we both did." The room went silent. Even the host didn't know what to say. "Jim has been my partner, my protector, my home," Chrissy continued. "But Cam was something else. A different kind of understanding. Not better, not worse, just different. And when you start comparing, you start losing." The quote went viral instantly. It was real. It was complicated, and it resonated, but not everyone saw it as healing. Some fans still called her out. "You broke Jim's heart for nostalgia," one user wrote. "You opened a door you weren't ready to close." Still, others were more forgiving. "She's human," someone posted, "and humans are messy." Cam, upon seeing the interview, posted one final video. He didn't speak much, just looked at the camera for a long time, then said, "Truth is, nobody wins when love becomes a battleground." And with that, the chaos started to fade. The public frenzy began to die down. The trio, Jim, Cam, and Chrissy, returned to their usual content. No more cryptic quotes, no more voice notes, just silence. But not the same kind of silence as before. This time, it felt like peace, or at least acceptance. Sources later confirmed that Chrissy had moved back in with Jim. But things were different now. Quieter, more careful. "They're rebuilding," one source said. "Slowly, painfully, but together." Cam, meanwhile, went on tour. His shows were packed. Fans showed up with signs that read, "We still love you, Cam." He didn't mention the situation on stage, but at one show, before performing his classic track, "Hey Ma," he paused and said, "This one hits different now." And just when it seemed like the chapter was closed, one more piece surfaced. Any unreleased song leaked online by an anonymous source, Cam and Jim, on the same track. The title, "Broken Clocks." The lyrics told the full story. Cam: "We was kings with crowns, now it's just silence and sounds. Lost a brother and a queen, trying to figure it out." Jim: We built empires from nothing, now it's smoke and mirrors. Memories cut deep. But the pain's getting clearer. Fans lost it. The internet exploded. Was this a sign of reconciliation? Was the song old or brand new? No one knew. And maybe that was the point, because in the end, not everything needs a perfect resolution. Some stories don't end with a clear villain or a clean apology. Some stories are just real, messy, emotional, unfinished. And this one? This was all of that and more. So here we are, after all the secrets, the voice notes, the meetups, and the raw emotions laid bare for the world to see, Camron exposing Chrissy's secret messages, Jim Jones finally breaking his silence. It was a roller coaster none of us expected, but one we